I'm excited today. I'm excited today. Today is Wednesday, November 2nd. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And we are live right now in Clubhouse. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We're going to be broadcasting this out to everybody. It's on the minds of everyone this morning. What's going on with these 7% interest rates? And will it go to double digits? And what are we going to do about it if we're in the industry? Because we're hearing all kinds of strategies. Okay. And we're going to be, if you've heard this, I need you to put a number 1 in the chat. Okay. If you've heard this. Marry the house, but date the rate. If you've heard that, put a 1 in the chat. Marry the house, but date the rate. Okay? All right. Credit Goddess has heard it. Anybody else heard it? Marry the house, but date the rate. So if listen, Credit Goddess, what does that mean? What does that mean to you when experts say that? What does that mean?
That means get the house, and the rate can change. Just like, if you don't like the one person that you're dating, you can go and date someone else. So, but don't miss out on the opportunity of getting a house. So marry the house and date the rate.
You heard it, folks. Marry the house and date the rate. Here's what we're hearing is that the 7%, just because it's 7, automatically makes it worse than a 6% rate or a 5% rate. If you believe in your heart that a 7% rate is worse than the 5% rate all across the board, put a number 9 in the chat right now. Put a number 9 in the chat right now if you believe that a 7% rate is worse all across the board than a 5% rate. Come on. All right. Hey, all right. Gladys says, oh, yeah, listen, 7% has to be worse. Okay, 7% has to be worse. See, we're going to be looking at things all across the board today. And Derek says no. Gladys says no. Gladys says yes. But folks, here's what I want you to do. I really, really, really would like to bring some people to the stage so that we can have a conversation about this. All right. So Dawn, good morning to you. What do you say about having a conversation and getting people involved in this thing? What do you say about that? Okay, Miss Dawn. I know. Listen, sometimes there she is.
Hey, how are you? I'm on the beach. Sorry.
Listen. You can just get off my stage right now. I'm on the beach. I'm on the beach talking about I'm in Florida and I'm up here struggling and I got to work every day. And listen, and you got it going on with your properties. See, this is what we're talking about, folks. This is what I'm trying to get to. This is why I'm going to be in Houston this weekend, learning what Dawn has learned over the years, how to acquire properties and how to live my best life out there on a beach. And even though she works her W-2 job, okay, she's out there with her computer on the beach while she working. So that's what she call working.
Tell you, I was like, I still have to check in today, so I am on the clock in a couple of hours. Let me not fool y'all. Dawn still works.
Dawn still works, okay, but working from the beach. Okay, folks, can you guys relate to that lifestyle? Would you like to have that lifestyle where you're working on the beach? Oh my goodness. We have Flame in the house today. Flame, I almost moved you to the audience by mistake. All right, clicking the wrong button. All right. So Flame, how are you doing this morning? Flame, you on the road too? We can barely hear you, Flame. So I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. Can you hear me now or no?
Well, it's kind of muffled. It's kind of muffled. Are you on it, Bluetooth or something in your car or whatever?
got about 56 seconds.
All right, Flame, I hear you. But man, I tell you what, we really could use your input on these numbers, man, because you've been doing this credit thing a long time. We got Credit Goddess here, we got Dawn. So, Credit Goddess, would you please introduce yourself? Tell the folks what you do. And before we start jumping into this thing, and folks, while we're doing the introductions, please start pinging some people into the room right now, and share the room to everybody you know, because this is going to be interesting information how mortgage loan originators can actually make more money at these 7% rates, and they don't have to see their income go down, because we automatically think that 7% is worse. Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself, Credit Goddess.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. My name is Rosalora Lewis, also known as Credit Goddess. I'm all things credit. I help my clients understand the importance of credit by understanding the 5 C's of credit: collateral, capital, asset, conditions, and capacity. Just understanding the 5 different ways of obtaining credit by those 5 C's of credit would give my clients the understanding of what needs to be in place. I'm also a business credit coach. I help my clients obtain business credit, and so that way they can leverage up to corporate credit. I'm also an educator as well and a NAV business loan broker. So that's me in a nutshell, all things credit.
Thank you very much, Credit Goddess. And Miss Dawn sitting on the beach while we're here slaving away in the office, in the studio. But Miss Dawn, would you please introduce yourself? And I will try my best to not hate on you today.
Hey, I'll be back to cold weather in just a few days. Hello, everyone. My name is Dawn Robinson, the Money PhD. I am a single teenage mom of twins, turned millionaire by age 44. Thought I had done it all right. 3 properties by 31, 8 months of savings in the bank, and it was heavily contributing to my 401k until I got a bad boss. I was a corporate executive, I got a bad boss. I always say I wanted to tell her she was number one with a different finger, but could not afford to quit. Looked at my finances and I was $140,000 in debt, paid it off in 17 months and moved to Hawaii. And so now I'm on this journey to help professional women over 40 start late, finish rich, because most of us are secretly struggling to figure out this money thing, how to save, pay off debt so we can invest and make work optional. I believe that we're not financially free until work becomes optional. So this is Dawn, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Miss Dawn. Thank you, Miss Dawn. Folks, again, if you deal with mortgages, all right, if you deal with mortgages, this conversation today is going to be twofold. If you are a mortgage loan originator, okay, or if you are in a mortgage or about to get a mortgage, this is going to help everybody involved. Everybody involved is going to get something out of this today. If you're involved with interest rates at all, either from the business side or from the consumer side, whether you are getting an interest rate for yourself or for your business, if you are selling mortgages or other types of loans, all right, and the 7% interest rate seems to be a hurdle, okay? If it seems to be a hurdle, if you are, let's do this in the chat. If this is okay, so if you are in the mortgage business or in the loan business, put a number 8 in the chat right now. Okay, if you're in the mortgage business or in the loan business at all, can you put a number 8 in the chat so we can know who you are, and so we want to address what of your concerns. All right, great, fantastic. All right, if you are on the consumer side and you are thinking about buying a house, a residence, or you are thinking about getting into buying your first property for investment, your first investment property or another investment property, all right, put a number 7 in the chat, okay? Because we want to bring the property buyers, all right, and the lenders together on understanding how amortization actually works. And folks, I need you to write this down, okay? Everything that we're going to be talking about today is math, not magic. It's math, not magic, that gets the job done and understanding what's really going on with an amortization schedule and interest rates. So we've got people here on both sides of the question, and I would absolutely love it if somebody could raise their hand, come up to the stage, and ask some questions, because that helps to lead the discussion. Oh, we have a party hat in here. Okay, we have a party hat, and I believe her name is Patricia. Okay, and good morning to you. Good morning. That means, folks, when you see the party hat, that means they've been on Clubhouse for less than a week. I see she has 0 followers. All right, so let's do something for Miss Patricia. So I'm going to advise her to fill out your bio so folks can know who you are and what you do. Fill out the bio, read some other bios so that you can get an understanding of, how it's filled out. But let's do her a favor today, okay? I'm going to follow her, all right? Because the topic she's interested in: mindfulness, health, spirituality, relationships, current events. I can rock with that. So I'm going to be her first follower. How about that, Miss Patricia Price? Thank you for being in here. I appreciate it. So, folks, along with Patricia, why don't we, if you're not a member of the club, the P.I.L.L Method Club, go ahead and tap that greenhouse at the top of the page, and you can become a member of the club, and then click always so that you can always be notified when we're on. Okay. The other thing is we are also on YouTube right now. We are live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. We're live on LinkedIn. And if you want to see the examples I'm going to be putting on the screen, because see, it's all about the math. Okay, not magic. When people talk about these issues, please, I'm begging you, please require them to give you the numbers. Don't just give me platitudes. Don't just give me rules of thumb. Don't give me regurgitate what so-called experts have been saying over the years, and we hear it over and over again. And we assume that it is correct, but we've never seen the numbers to prove that it's correct. Today, we're going to be putting numbers on the screen, and if you want to see these numbers, folks, I'm going to put my link at the top of the page here. All right, and pin my link. There we go. And if you want to see what's going on, you can go to the 4 social media outlets that I just mentioned and search P.I.L.L Method, and you'll find us. Or you can go and tap on my 10K card here and at the top of the page, and that's ice10k.com. And if you do that, you'll also see that you can watch us live. And we have there all the links that will take you to our live presentation this morning. So everything is there. So Jeremiah is online. He says, oh man, he's got put a number 1 in the chat, and he's online. We have other people online. Good morning to everybody online today. All right. Okay. Let me see here. All right. There we go. I'm going to type in there, good morning to everybody. All right. All right. Ladies if you can watch the stage for me. I don't see any hands raised. People want to come to the stage to talk about this issue, but let's dive in, and maybe that will inspire somebody to come up. Let me do this. Let me spice it up just a little bit. Okay. Do you see that my link at the top of the page? Okay. That's called my 10K card. That's a digital business card that is multifunctional. I mean, I have my office information there. I have my all of my social media links on this thing. I have Meet Don Daniel on this thing. I have information about different places that we advertise. I have my phone numbers. We've got my admin information is on here. When we're doing special events, I can put the links on there for the tickets. All sorts of things I can put on here. Okay, even if it's personal, or you can use it for the organizations you are affiliated with. Like church or social organizations. If you are a Greek, I mean, if you're part of the Divine Nine, you can use this. You can use this card. So, here's what I'm going to do today. All right, here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to give away. Two of these cards. I'm going to give away two of these cards. If you're able to come to the stage and ask a question about these interest rates, if you're able to come up and share your story somehow around these interest rates, the first two people that raise their hand and come to the stage, I'm going to give them a business card, and we're going to send it out to you today. All right? The first two people who raise their hands to bring a question to the stage, I am going to give them a business card that they can have filled out any way they choose. All right? So check out my business card, and if you want one, all right? And listen, the basic card is $100. I mean, just the basic card is $100. So I'm going to give away $200 for people to. That's how important this is. That's how important this is to get audience participation in this question. Okay. And all right. So let's go ahead and start raising your hands and come to the stage. But in the meantime, let's go to. If you want to see this example, I'm going to share my screen, put this up, and put an amortization schedule on the screen. We are going to start with a $500,000 mortgage at 7%. And we're going to break this thing all the way down. Okay, there we are. 5% mortgage at 7%. If you want to see this, you can go to on a separate device. All right, go to a separate device and go to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. If you do that, especially on Facebook, on YouTube, will you subscribe? Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and hit the hit that bell, and then you'll be notified every time we go live and put up a new video. Some of the videos that we have there, we have over 150 videos like this called How to Pay Off Your Debt or How to Pay Off Mortgages in 7 Years. There is a ton of information, and this is going to be added to it today. So good morning. All right. Okay, somebody says ICE 10K Live does not work. All right. Huh. I'm going to have to check that out. Thank you for letting me know. And let's see here. Let me go ahead and check this out. Let me see if that link is broken. Sometimes the links get broken. So let me go to the link myself, and I'm clicking on it. All right. ICE10KLive.com. Yeah, it works. It's working on my iPad. All right. Well, listen, if it doesn't work for you, here's what you can do. All right. Whatever is, whatever you'd like to see, however you would like to see this, whether it's YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, just go to one of those platforms and search for Pill Method and you'll see our live. All right. So that will work for you. Let's try that. All right. So if you want to see this, folks, all right, go to one of those and you'll be able to see my screen. We're going to put it up for you. All right. So right now we're going to put up that we have $500,000 at 7%. The payment on that is $3,326.51. So here's the first thing you need to understand. All of this information is about people who can afford this mortgage. Okay. If you cannot afford the mortgage, so if this is placing it out of range for you, then you have to make other arrangements. All right. But there are a lot of people that can do this, but are choosing not to because of the information that's out there that this is a bad deal. Okay. It's only a bad deal if you can't benefit from it. Just because it's 7% does not mean you cannot benefit. Okay, stop thinking that way. The higher interest rates are the bad interest rates. The lower interest rates are the good interest rates. So let's start with this. Now, remember, you want to write this down. This is math, not magic. Math, not magic. That's the first thing you want to write down. Okay. All right. And let's see. I've got something here. ice10klive.com doesn't work. ice10k.com works. Okay. So yeah. All right. Thank you very much for that. And so I don't know. I let me see here. ice10klive.com. All right. So folks, if that doesn't work, we're going to get that fixed today, but go to those social media outlets and you can watch us live. Just search for Pill Method. And after the show, we'll fix that link. How's that? All right. That's the beauty of doing things live. All right. I've got 5 shares in here. I got 5 shares. I got 33 people in here right now. So let me get on the bandwagon and share the room myself. So we're going to share the room. All right. We got some hot information in here for you. All right. There you go. So right now, $500,000 on the screen. So if you can afford this payment, $3,326.51, that is going to be great. Okay. So we have, all right, let's go ahead and let's see. Kanabi says you may have put in with something missing, but I moved it to here. So it is working. It is working. All right. I clicked it twice and it said, oh, all right. Anyway, so we're going to get it fixed. We're going to get it fixed. Okay. All right. So $500,000 is 7%. And so if we calculate that, look at this. When mortgage professionals are comparing loans, they're comparing 30-year loans. Okay. So if we compare 2 30-year loans, then you will want to find out what's going on with comparing 2 30-year loans. So I'm going to duplicate this and we're going to change this to 5%. Okay. When we change it to 5%, then we get a payment that is $26.84. So the payment on the 30-year loan at 5% is $26.84, but the payment on the 7% is $33.26. So already the payment is less at 5%, but we're comparing 2 30-year loans. So here's my first question. Anybody on the stage, Anybody on the stage? Do you want to keep a 30-year loan for 30 years? Anybody, does anybody say yes to that? I want to pay off my mortgage and I want to keep the loan for the full 30 years. Let me know. Yes or no. I want to keep the loan for a full 30 years. Put it in the chat. Okay, Steve Mack says no. All right. And if you're online, put it in the comment section. All right. I want to keep the loan for 30 years. Yes or no. Yes or no. All right. I want to keep the loan for 30 years. Everybody put it in the chat. Okay. Steve says no. Anybody else say no? Anybody says yes? All right. All right. So online, they're saying no way. All right. Noya says absolutely not. Derek is saying no. All right. And let's see. We have, BT Muscove says no, no, no. All right. That's like buying several houses. All right. Dana says no. I don't want to keep a loan for 30 years. So, folks, these numbers that are being promoted are 30-year numbers. So if you keep the loan for less than 30 years, do any of these numbers apply? That the amount of interest that you're going to pay over the loan. If you pay it off sooner than that, or get rid of the loan sooner than that, do you have to pay all of this interest? All right? So that's the thing. We're comparing two 30-year notes, the interest rate and the payments and the interest cost on these loans for the entire 30 years. But if you're going to keep it for less than that, do the math, and then you can figure out that you do not have to keep it for the entire 30 years. Not necessary. Not necessary at all. So let me give you an example of a loan. Okay. I'm going to put this on the screen. All right. I'm going to put this over here. Okay. Boom. And we're going to slide this over. Okay. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. All right. So this is a brand new mortgage that I have on the screen. It's $204,000. Okay. $204,000. And the bank wants $143,000 interest on this loan if we keep it for 30 years. In fact, over the first 5 years, if we do it just like the bank wants us to do it, we're going to pay this loan down by $18,675.20. That's what I have on the screen right now. But it's going to cost $37,325 in interest in the first 5 years. What? Yeah. $37,000 in interest just to pay the loan down by $18,000. Folks, I'm putting math on the screen right now for you. Putting math on the screen. Okay? This is what it's going to cost. This is what you're going to get out of it. Okay? So, does anybody want to pay $37,000 in interest just to pay your loan down by $18,000. And then you have to add those two together. You folks, that's $56,000 paid out in the first 5 years. That's the math. We're looking at the math this morning. Remember, it's math, not magic. So $56,000 in 5 years, but out of that $56,000, you only get $18,675. You see, over the years, folks, over the years, this is what we've been told. This is what we've been given. We're being given a mortgage gives us a payment we can afford. Gives us a payment we can afford. But we have no idea how much interest we're consuming from month to month. Do you realize that the average family, even that's doing very well, the average family that does very well is paying 35 to 39% of their take-home pay just on interest on their loans? Because the average family, even though they're doing quite well financially, has about 13 different loans. The average family, 13 different debts. And when you add up the interest cost on those debts, not the entire payment, just the interest portion on the debts, it comes to 35 to 39% of your take home pay. In my book, that's what we call interest consumption. My question to you today, and we can put it in the chat, do you know what your interest consumption is? If you do, put it in the chat. If you do not, put no in the chat. Okay? If you know what your interest consumption is monthly, put it in. I'm talking about how much money you're actually paying in interest each month. Put a yes in the chat if you know. If you don't know, put a no in the chat. Okay? So Derek says, yes, he knows now, okay, because he's probably been in here before. Adrian says, yes, I know how much interest I'm paying each month on all of my debt. That is great. Tiana McNeil says, never thought about interest consumption. How much interest how much are we consuming each month? If you've been here before, if you've seen our videos, if you've been here before, you know what's going on with interest consumption. So remember, this is all about the math. So in this example that I have on the screen, in 5 years, the bank wants us to consume $37,000 in interest just to pay our loan down by $18,000. Wants us to pay out $56,000. I mean, Steve Megan says in the process of adding it up right now. Okay. All right. Listen, $37,000. That's a lot of money. $56,000 in total paid out just to get $18,000 in equity. And folks, just getting a payment you can afford is just part of the story. You want to know what is costing you to manage your loans. You know the cost of everything you're doing right now. Okay? How much does gas cost right now in your city today? Where are you getting gas? How much is it averaging right now? You know what the gas is. If you've gone to the store lately and you know whatever you bought, you know what you paid by the pound. You know what the cost is. When you get home, you know, if you look at everything in your grocery basket, you know how much you've paid for that food. And you know what the increase in inflation is doing to your food budget. You are keenly aware of how much money you're spending. You know how much it is. But you know where we don't pay attention? You know where we have not learned to pay attention? We have not been taught to pay attention. We have not been taught to pay attention to how much interest we're consuming each month. Why is that? Because a certain segment of our society, those who rent us money, and that's what I call that's what I call interest. I call it rent on your money. Those who rent us money want us to remain totally in the dark as to how they charge interest and how it all works. Okay? They want us to remain in the dark on that. Okay? So if we remain in the dark on how much interest we're paying and how they do it, then we will continue to pay, here it is, to pay as much interest as we can for as long as we can. And that is the education. Even though it sounds like we're doing ourselves a favor, even though it sounds like the decisions that we're making are the right decisions. And I'm here to tell you today that the decisions we make based on best practices, whether it's on the internet, whether it's on TV, even if we get our information, our financial information on the news, I'm telling you that I have heard some of this information based on what we're going through right now with the inflation and the rising interest rates. I've heard some information on the news that is completely inaccurate. error. Completely wrong. Because what they're talking about is costing us more money because no one has bothered to do the math. We're going to do the math today. Okay? We're doing the math today. So here we go, folks. Let's take a look at this thing. Going back to the, we have $143,000 in interest that the bank wants us to pay. This particular client will pay off the $204,000 in 30 years and pay $143,000 in interest, or they can pay $41,408. Okay, pay that out and pay everything off in 7.5 years. I'm going to show this client how to save $108,000 in interest, $108,605 to be exact. Probably even more. This is where we start. This is not where we finish. Saving $108,000 in interest. By not paying that interest, they will be able to pay off this debt in 7.5 years. So, do you see the problem with comparing two 30-year loans and making a decision on which loan to get based on 30-year numbers when you can be out of debt in 7.5 years? So we need new numbers to make a decision on these loans. What can I do? How can interest cancellation enter into the conversation and help us to determine which loan is going to be best for us? Now, even with the P.I.L.L method, we have to take into consideration what is going on individually in each family and each business. We never know going in which interest rate is going to be best. What we found out is for most of the time, the higher interest rate is going to be best. How can you say that? How can we, listen, anybody wondering how I can say that? How I can say how the 7% interest rate is going to be best. I see you, Miss Rachel, hiding in the audience. Okay, you know you need to raise your hand and come on up here. Let's invite Rachel to the stage. All right, invite to speak. All right, because I'm looking at a couple of screens, and so she's coming all the way here from the West Coast to see what we're talking about this morning. So, Miss Rachel, whenever you're ready, raise your hand, come to the stage. Good morning, Miss Christina. Good to see you this morning. All right, Tiana, I see you there. All right, I see Kenny. I see Roland. I see Fern and Gladys and Derek and Romel. All right, Patricia and Marcus and Dee, Giovanni and Tracy. I see Tabitha. Good morning to you. All right, and Cynthia, Adrian, Kay, Philip. Good morning to you. I'm glad you're here. So here's what we've got, folks. Why would we pay? Now, this is, you don't, and I want to make this clear. Though, you want to write this down. This particular client didn't make an extra dime, won't have to make an extra dime to accomplish this. We're going to use their current budget. Okay? It's not about how much money you can throw at the loan. It's about how can you manipulate the loan so you can pay less interest. That's what this is about. The reason why we don't know how loans actually work is because the way that the loans are configured, it costs a lot of money to keep the loan this way. But because of the way the loans are configured, we can never know how they do it because it's so easy not to pay the interest once you know the rules. Okay? So let me put another thing on the screen for you. All right, let's put this up. All right, bring up a new window over here on this side. And, okay. All right, I'm putting amortization formula. All right, there we go. Let's bring this up so we can see an amortization formula. Let me click on this. See if we can bring that up. There we go. All right. There it is. All right, so let's bring this over. Okay. Here's the amortization formula. This is what the banks have been using, your credit card companies use, your car loans use. They use this formula to amortize your loan. Am I going to break this down for you? Nope, I am not. Okay? I'm not going to take the time to break this down. I will show you the result of an amortization formula and the reason why you're not taught how this impacts your interest cost over long term and what you can do about it. It is designed to do this, to make as much money for the bank as they possibly can and still provide a payment that you can afford. It is designed so the bank can make as much money as they possibly can from you, but still give you a payment you can afford. So if you don't ever understand how they make their money, then you will not understand what to do about it. Credit Goddess, are you with us this morning? Are you in the house? Are you in the room? Because folks, when we start understanding how all of this works, and Credit Goddess has a good way of explaining how the bank makes their money. Okay. And if she can come back, because I mean, she's getting phone calls. She gets phone calls all day long with her business. So let's look at how the bank makes their money here, and then we can see what to do about it. Okay. So when banks make money this way, we see at what rate they are making money. If you know what to do, you can save at the same rate they're charging us. All right. So here's what we're looking at. I'm going down to payment number 1 on this $500,000 mortgage at 7%. And what we see is very first payment, $409.84 goes to principal. That's the amount that pays down the loan. Look how much money is going to interest. $2,916.67. Wow. Should it cost $2,916.67 in interest just to pay the loan down by $409.84, even though it's a payment you can afford? Come on, folks. How is that even fair? So this is why you can never know how they do this. This is why it's not taught even in seventh grade, in middle school, in junior high, depending on where you go from. This can be taught in school. That this particular loan, only $409 goes to your principal, while $2,916.67 goes to interest. The next month, it gets a little better. The configuration changes, but the amount doesn't change. We have the next month, we have $412.23 going to principal, and the interest is reduced by the same amount that the principal increased. So we have $2,914.28, a little over $2 difference. So the next month we pay about a little over $2 less in interest the next month. So every month we pay a little less interest and a little more principal each month. That's how the loan gets paid. And this is why it's so expensive, is because we're paying nearly $3,000 a month interest every month while we're paying $400 payments to the loan. That's what's happening here. Okay? So once we understand what's going on, then we can understand what we can do about it. Now, with our program, we actually use computers to maximize the amount of interest that a person can actually save. What do I mean by that? You can save the most amount of interest per dollar when you know what to do. Okay? But there's so much math involved that to optimize your interest savings, we have to take a look at a lot of different things. But is it possible to save money and to save time without a computer? The answer is yes. Let me show you one way to understand how this works. Okay, we plug all this information into our computers and we get we get an optimized number. But if we understand the basics, we can get an understanding of what's going on. So here's what I'm saying. In month number 1, okay, we make our mortgage payment. So let's call this month January. If we make our payment in January, we can actually see on this amortization schedule that $412.23 would go to principal in February. We also know by studying the loan papers that it is our right to make prepayments to this mortgage. So a prepayment is paying any money to the loan before it's due. If you pay money to a loan before it's due, that money will go to principal. So you make your very first payment, and we look at the $412.23. What if we decided we want to pay that in February as well? What would happen if we did that? We pay $412.23 in January as well. In January, we'll be paid down to line 2 on the amortization schedule, where we would owe $499,177.93. So we would instantly go to line 2 if we give the bank $412.23 early after making our first payment. What just happens here? What just happened? We got rid of line 2 for $412, not the $2,916 the bank was looking for. Okay, so if we wait till February 1st to pay the bank this money, the $412.23, we also have to pay them $2,914.28 to give it to them. But if we give them the $412.23 early, we do not have to give them $2,914.28. We just save that money. So if you know how this works, you can save at the exact same rate that the bank is trying to charge you. This is why the bank does not want you to know how this works. This is why they don't teach it to their own employees. If you are in mortgages or in real estate, or if you've ever bought a house or getting ready to buy a house, has anybody ever explained how an amortization schedule actually works to you? And I've been asking this question for 16 years, folks. I keep getting the same answer. The answer is no. No, 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 no. We have never been taught this. And you have to ask yourself, why isn't it taught in school? Why isn't it taught? Why isn't Dave Ramsey teaching this? Why isn't Susie Orman teaching this? Or anybody else who's famous teaching about money, teaching about loans, teaching about debt? Anybody who's famous out there right now, why aren't they teaching how the loan process actually works, the math behind it, so that we can pay less interest on our loans with the money we have? Why aren't more people teaching this? Is it because that the people teaching this are conspiring against us? The answer is no. The people teaching about money, about debt, they're not conspiring against us. You know why they're not teaching it? Because they don't know either. They have not stopped to study how a loan actually works. They've been taking their information just like we have. And since it's been called best practices, they are teaching best practices without actually doing the math behind what they've been teaching. I'm showing you the math behind it right now. So if we pay this $212.23 early, they have to subtract it from what we owe. Now we owe $499,177 in principal balance. So the bank has to figure how much we owe in interest off this new number, not the first number. If we do that, then that brings us down to payment number 3. If we pay the $412.23 early, we skip over line 2 on this mortgage schedule and we go straight to line 3. We just turned 360 monthly payments into 359 monthly payments by paying $412.23 early. So if you have it, and if you did this, you just remove 1 month and almost $3,000 in interest. So what if we did this, folks? What if we did this? Good morning, Patricia. See you out there. What if we made our payment in January, and then we had a little bit of money in the bank, and we gave the bank an extra $412.23 on line 2 of our amortization schedule, looked at line 3 of our amortization schedule, and also gave them an extra $414.64 in January, and then line 4 on our amortization schedule and gave them the $417.06. Okay, a little over $1,200. Okay, let's say we had a little bit of money in the bank, and we're learning the benefit of prepayment. You see, the reason why people prepay the way they do is because we've never been told what happens when you prepay. Write this down. You've never been taught what happens when you prepay. If you knew what happened when you prepay, you'd look at this thing totally differently. Once you know what happens, you see, if you buy something on sale at your grocery store, at your department store, you buy something on sale, what happens? What do they print at the bottom of the receipt? They print how much money you saved. And why do they do that? All right. Let's see. Miss Jones wants to know, are there any case studies showing this how this works out? Yeah. I had a case study on a little earlier, Miss Jones. I have several case studies. You can go back and see some of our other videos. But let me bring up the case study. If you can see this, here's the case study that I had. Here's a client that we had with a $204,000 mortgage. By the time we get through with it here at the P.I.L.L method, we're going to save them $108,000 in interest. They're going to keep their same budget and pay this loan off in 7.5 years because of the interest they will not pay on this loan. Okay, so you can go back and watch the replays and see how we went through this particular case study. All right. And Miss Jones, if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat, and my engineer will make sure that I see it so that we can go over this with you as well. Okay, so let's bring back, let's go ahead and bring back our information here. Oops. All right, so there we go. And there it is. Okay, here is I got to bring up my amortization schedule. There it is. Okay, here's my amortization schedule. So if we put those 3 extra payments on, folks, watch this. That's $412. That's $414. That's $417. A little over $1,200. Look what happens. We just eliminated line 2, line 3, and line 4 from our amortization schedule for a lot less money, for a little over $1,200. And we eliminated these interest payments, $29.14, $29.11, and $29.09. Those are gone. We never have to pay that. Folks, that's nearly $9,000 when you add it all up. I pay a little over $1,200 to principal. I save nearly $9,000 in interest that I don't have to pay because of that. This is the importance of knowing the math behind this. This is math, not magic. This is important of knowing the math behind what's going on with these interest rates and with all this. Now, why am I taking the time to understand these basics? It is because we have been told stuff, but we haven't been given the math behind why we're making these decisions ever. We're just assuming that the experts that are giving us this information, they've done the math, and this is the best thing to do. What we here at the P.I.L.L method are finding out is that people have been regurgitating the same information for years, so they assume it's correct without doing the math. That's what's going on. So, folks, we got 9 shares. We got 39 people in here. We just went to 40 people. Could you please share the room a little bit more for me? Good. Happy birthday to you, Cam. Oh, Cam left just that quick. We had a birthday a clubhouse birthday in here. She was in here for a hot second. So here's what we're talking about. So let's go ahead and share a few more times. We're up to 12 shares. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We still have 39 people in here. Let's get a few more people in here by sharing the room. Miss Credit Goddess, tap in whenever you have opportunity. And anybody that's new to the room, if you want to see these examples, we are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitter and LinkedIn. If you want to see these examples, go to the P.I.L.L Method page on those 4 platforms and search P.I.L.L Method, and it will bring you to the live session. Go on a separate device, a computer or a tablet or whatever, and you can still hear us on Clubhouse. And I would love it if somebody wanted to raise their hand and come to the stage and ask questions at any time. All right? So here's what we're going. So Miss Leisha Bell in the chat is asking, but then by February 1st, we still have a pay the regular payment. That is correct. Okay. So here's what we're doing, Miss Leisha Bell. If we decided that we wanted to pay the very first payment, okay, the very first payment, and we gave the bank the extra $412 on line 2, the extra money on line 3 and line 4. Okay. So we gave them a little over $1,200. All right. We have a payment. We still have a payment in February, but which line are we on in this schedule? Can somebody tell me if I pay the very first month and I give the bank the principal payments on line 2, 3, and 4, I give them that money also in January. What line of the amortization schedule am I on in February? All right. Can anybody tell me? All right. You can put it in the chat, put it in the comments. Alicia Bell said line 5. Exactly. You are on line 5. This is your next payment for February if you do it this way. Folks, is that good information? I need you, if this is good information, if you loved seeing this, put a yes in the chat. If this is good information, if this is powerful information, put a yes in the chat. Oh my goodness. Derek says definitely yes. Definitely yes. Lovely Clothing says yes. All right. Alicia Bell says yes. Okay, folks, we're at the top of the hour. All right. And I've been doing all the talking because nobody wants to come to the stage and ask questions. So we are going to do a quick reset, and I'm going to play a video from a friend of mine. I mean, he's a friend now. Okay. From Eric Thomas. We're going to play his video and what he says about the P.I.L.L method. And listen to this, folks. This gentleman, he's the #1 motivational speaker in the world right now. Dr. Eric Thomas, known as E.T., the hip hop preacher. And while he's talking about the P.I.L.L method and how it has helped him, we're going to take a little drink of water and take just a quick break. But in the meantime, click the green house at the top of the page and join this club. This is the P.I.L.L Method Club, and we are giving out great information on how loans work. Today, we're talking about how loan officers can actually make more money at these higher interest rates. But I'm giving a little background to give the context. So let's hear from Eric Thomas and what he has to say about the P.I.L.L method right now. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, and our team created the most powerful money management, wealth building, debt elimination system ever created. At our recent seminar in Nashville, Tennessee, the keynote speech was delivered by the #1 motivational speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. E.T., as he's also known, mentioned he paid off his mortgage in 4 years using the P.I.L.L method. I invite you to watch and listen.
Listen to me, y'all. One of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
Did you hear that? No mortgage, no stress. If you would like to become debt and mortgage free within an average of 7 to 9 years by cutting your interest costs by up to 75%, go to pillmethod.com and request a savings and earnings report today. All right, folks, listen. To get a savings and earnings report today, it is as simple as this. You can go to ice10k.com. ICE, that stands for Interest Cancellation Expert, ice10k.com. There's a button on my digital business card that says Get a Savings and Earnings Report. Click that button, all right? And it'll take you to a page on our website. And then you can follow all of the directions. And once you follow all of the directions, now read the directions carefully, put in all of your information there, and it will let you into our financial form. Fill all of that out and then submit it. Someone from my staff will get that information. They will give you a call and confirm the data that you put in. Once it's confirmed, you can know the month, day, and year you will be debt-free and how much interest you could save. It's usually within a 7 to 9 year window. Here's what we're saying to you. With your current budget, you don't have to take 30 years to pay off all of your debt. You can be debt-free on all of your debt in an average of 7 to 9 years. If you've been looking for a better way, you found it. Fill out the information. If you have not been looking for a better way, this is not for you. I guarantee you that. Okay? But if you have been looking for a better way, if you want a better way, because people tell us that, I just heard it several times yesterday. We were looking for a better way and we saw your videos. We were looking for a better way and we bought your book. We were looking for a better way and a friend who has your program, all right, is telling us about you. Okay? So they're looking for a better way and they found it. So our book is on Amazon right now. It's the P.I.L.L Method, a better way to eliminate debt. Out of 33 million titles, it's the only one that talks about this subject, how interest cancellation and how it works, how you can use your current budget, pay up to 75% less interest using your current budget and get out of debt. So it comes down to this. Do I use my current budget and pay the bank for 30 years or more and pay them 75% more interest than I need to? Or if I'm looking for a better way because my parents still have a mortgage, my grandparents still have a mortgage, but when I retire, I don't want to have a mortgage. Not only that, folks, but you can pay off your mortgage, your student loans, your credit cards, your car loan, everything in an average of 5 to 7 years by not giving the bank all of that interest money. And if you don't have to give them all that interest money to do the same thing, can you invest that interest money into your own family and with compound interest? Is it possible that W-2 families that work W-2 jobs can make $1 million or more just from the interest they did not pay the bank? The answer is absolutely yes. We've seen it over and over and over again. So if you want to know more about how to do this, fill out the information, folks. Get your savings and earnings report, and my staff will set up a consultation with you, and we can get that done within an average of 48 hours. Okay. We were getting it done in 24 hours, but because once we start doing these lives, people have been flooding us with requests. It's now taking us about 48 hours to get everything done and get your consultation ready. So please have patience with us. All right. We're bringing more people on so that we can solve this time difference. So listen, fill it out, pay off your debt in 7 to 9 years, cut all that interest cost that you don't have to pay the bank, and invest that money in yourselves. So that's our little break for today. So follow the house, follow the club, and follow the moderators on stage so that you can get this kind of information all the time. So we have a question here on online, and it says, what does Miss Jones say? So one would have to definitely be sure the servicer applies to principal. I've seen them screw up billing royally. Okay, Ms. DeLuca, Miss Jones, you are right. And here's the only way it can get screwed up, okay? Number one, the people who work at the bank have not been taught, number one, how a loan actually works, okay? That's it. That's part of the problem. Number two, if you escrow your mortgage payment, meaning you have taxes and insurance built into your loan, into your mortgage payment, okay? So when you make a payment, you have taxes and insurance involved, all right? That's called the escrow payment. Every bank that I know of has a default system, and the default system is, if we don't hear from you in a way that we need to hear it, that you want this extra money to go to principal, we're automatically going to put it in your escrow account. That is the default. They know you don't, if you give them an extra $5,000, they know that you don't want that to go to the escrow account. For what? It pays you no interest. It's only there to pay the taxes and insurance for you. But if you give them an extra $5,000, they just need to hear from you that you want this money to go to principal. But you have to do it in the way that your particular institution wants to see or hear that information. Okay? So if you send a check, most people think I just put it in the memo, I want to go to principal, or you write a note. Yeah, that might work for your bank. It may not work for another bank. So you find out how you make principal payments, follow their rules. They must apply that money to principal. Okay? So follow the rules, you'll make out. I've seen it happen too, Miss Jones, but that's one way we can keep from getting that all messed up. And even if it does go to the escrow account, it'll take maybe a couple of phone calls to have it applied to principal. It can be done. Just be patient, get the work done. It's going to be well worth the effort to get that straightened out. But if you do it the way that they ask you to do it, you shouldn't have a problem at all. Okay, folks, we're getting back to this. Now, why am I so focused on this? I need you to watch this. If you think, I have a lot of comments in the chat that this is taking, that this kind of information is very powerful. I'm going to show you something that is the most powerful thing you've ever seen when it comes to amortization schedules. I need you to see this. If you're looking at the screen here, I'm looking at column 3 and column 4. Column 3 says in 1 year, we're going to pay this mortgage down by $5,079 and a penny. Okay? But we're going to pay out $34,839.11 in interest. Everybody who has this loan is doing exactly this. If you have a loan that has different numbers, you still add up how much money goes to principal in 1 year and add up all the money that goes to interest in 1 year. If you want to do this for yourself, I'm using a calculator that's online. This is not part of our business. We just use this for educational purposes. If you want to do your own amortization schedule, you don't have to call the bank. You can do your own. Okay, just go to Brett Whistle, B-R-E-T, and his last name Whistle is spelled W-H-I, S as in Sam, S as in Sam, E-L. W-H-I-S-S-E-L. Brett Whistle. Okay, he has an amortization calculator, and you can do this for yourself and see it for yourself. So in 1 year, we'll pay this loan down by a little over $5,000, but it's going to cost us nearly $35,000 in interest to do that because we're paying monthly. This is how the bank makes their money. If you decide to pay your debt on time monthly according to their schedule, all right? But what if you choose your own schedule to give them the $5,000? So if you know you're going to give it to them in 12 months, okay, let me ask you this. The $5,079 is going to be paid towards your mortgage. Do you have to pay that in 12 monthly installments? That's my question. Put it in the chat. Put it on the comments online. If you know eventually you're going to give the bank that money, $5,079 and a penny, do you have to pay it in 12 monthly installments? That's the question. Tracy says, no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to pay it in 12 monthly installments. Anybody else? Okay. Lovely says, no, I don't have to pay it. If you have it, if you have that money, folks, if you have the money, could you pay it all in 1 month instead of over 12 months? If you have the money, could you pay it in 1 month? $5,079 and a penny. Could you give that money to the bank in 1 month instead of over 12 months if you had it? Okay. Oh, somebody says online, says, yes, you can do that. Here's what happens when you do. Here, okay. Tamara Staley online says, yes. Okay. Here's what happens when you do. If you make your very first payment, okay, $409 of that principal has already gone to principal. Give them the remainder of the $5,079, all right? You are paid down to line 12 in 1 month. Boom! Just like that. Line 12 in 1 month by giving them that money at one time. And look what happens. You skip the payments between line 2 and line 12. All of that money has been saved. The same amount of money has been subtracted from your loan. But folks, it doesn't cost you $34,839.11 to give it to them. What? It only costs $2,916.67, the interest on the first line. So folks, people have been paying their mortgages like this forever, for 88 years. Okay? 88 years. This got popular in 1934. 1934. 88 years old to this year that we've been doing this. And no one is pointing out what really happens when we make mortgage payments. No one has ever pointed it out. So this is why we believe 7% loans are better than 5% loans. Now, let me show you something here. Let me show you something. Write down, and now I'm going to get into the difference between the 5% loans and the 7% loans. Why is it important to have this loan if you can afford it, why this is so powerful. I need you to see the principal payments here. What are the principal payments here? Okay. So, Ms. Jones says, what happens with that 34,839.11? What happens with that? Okay. All right. So, Ms. Jones, here's how much interest the bank wants if you pay this loan over 30 years. $697,543.60. That's how much money they want. Okay? You asked a very good question. So let's put in $697,543.60. If you can save that money, okay? So that's money you don't have to pay. So what happens with the $34,000? We subtract it from the interest that they wanted to charge you over 30 years. So we would subtract 34,000 $839 and 11 cents. So if you don't do anything else, okay, the interest that you will pay, if you just make every payment after that, you will pay $662,704.49 if you don't do anything else except that and make every payment from that point on. Yeah. You just reduced the amount of interest you pay by that much. Does that make sense, Ms. Jones? Oh my goodness. But we want to save you even more than that. What we want to do is save you about 2/3 of that money. Cut it by 2/3. Not just by 34,000. You can cut this by 2/3, take off 75%. What does that really mean? It's going to be somewhere in here. So we're going to put the 697,534. Okay. Let's divide it by 3. Okay. All right. And that comes to, instead of giving the bank $697,000, let's give them less than $232,000. We can actually pay them less than $232,000 by employing these interest cancellation techniques. Okay? So that's kind of what we're talking about, man. If you want to pay the bank less money, you can. It is your right. The problem has been over the years, we don't know what happens when we prepay. No one has told us that a small amount of money applied to the loan can save a ton of interest. Okay? Small amounts of money save a lot. Okay? Small amounts save a lot. So if we do that, we can save that money. Is that powerful, folks? Is that powerful? Now, let me show you what happens when we lower the interest rate. Okay? Let me show you what happens when we lower the interest rate. I've got to check this. I haven't checked the stage in a while. I'll see if anybody's raised their hand. Nope, nobody's raised their hand. Okay? So keep sharing the stage, folks. Keep sharing. Keep sharing the room. If you're online, share it with your online community. If you're in Clubhouse, you can share this online and you can share it in the hallway on Clubhouse. Okay? So here is the next step. We're going to do this. We're going to put this loan in at 5%, but I need you to focus here and write this down. Control the principal payment and you control the loan. Control the principal payment and you control the loan. And right now, these principal payments seem really small. $409.84, but we've got a ton of interest going to the bank. Don, we have these small principal payments. Okay? Control the principal payment and you control the loan. The next thing you want to write down is this. Interest payments you skip don't matter. Interest payments you skip don't matter. So if I've got this, all right, I'm going to put in the same loan at 5%. Here is the payment amount, okay? It's $2,684.11. I need you to focus in on the principal payments now. We just lowered the interest rate. Every person who owns the bank knows this. Every person that owns a mortgage company knows this. But the people who work at the bank and the people who work in the mortgage company don't pay attention to this because they have not been taught. They're comparing two 30-year loans, the 7% loan and the 5% loan. I'm showing you what can happen when you know how to manipulate the loan with your current budget so you can pay less interest. Look at these principal payments now. If you need to get rid of one line on this amortization schedule, okay, how much does it cost now? Not $400, but over $600. So is it easier to come up with $400 to prepay or $600 to prepay to remove one line from the schedule? If we lower the interest rate, have we just made it harder to pay the loan off cheaper and faster by lowering the interest rate if your focus is to pay the loan off in less than 30 years? And nobody knows that. That's why we are here. That's why here at the P.I.L.L Method, we're dedicated to getting this information out to you. Now, I need you to focus clearly on this because we saw something very powerful on the 7%. Okay, Miss Muscove, but Muscove says this is life-changing from YouTube. All right, watch this. Remember the $5,000? If we had a little over $5,000 in the bank, at 7%, we would knock off 1 year's worth of payments and save ourselves a ton of interest. And our next mortgage payment, if we gave the bank this in January, our next mortgage payment would be on line 13 in February. If we gave the $5,079 and a penny, because look at our principal payments are a little over $400. Is the light coming on? Is the light coming on? And we give that money to the bank. We knock off a year's worth of payments and the interest we don't have to pay, because I don't care about the high interest payments on line 2 through 12. I don't care about them. Why don't I care? Because they can. Interest payments I skip don't matter. I can skip interest payments 2 through 12. Skip them. Don't have to pay them. So I don't care how high they are. I don't. Because I know what happens when you prepay. So if I go to, listen, we got $5,079. So let's go back to the 5% loan and see what happens. Oh, $5,079. Look at my a little over $600 instead of a little over $400 goes to principal. Remember what I said, control the principal payment and you control the loan. The bank is in charge of this. And they're saying, yeah, go ahead and pay us extra money to get the 5% interest rate. If you pay us extra money, you can buy points and pay down and get a better interest rate. So you got to pay money to get the 5% rate so that you can have a larger principal payment and make it harder to pay the loan off. My goodness, we have been taught that the lower interest rate is going to be better, but it's not. So remember we paid a little over $5,000? Look what $5,000 does here. If I put even $5,400 on, by putting $5,400 on this loan, it only knocks off 9 payments. Miss Jones says, ooh, paying more money for a lower rate. Listen, isn't that what you've been taught? You can buy down the rate, giving them extra money to buy down the rate So it makes it harder to pay off the loan. Oh my gosh. Lower interest rate is better for the bank and not us. That's what Ms. Tamara Staley is saying. The lower interest rate, yes, it's better for the bank. If it weren't better for the bank, why would they offer it? If it was not better for the bank, why would they offer it? So they get the best of both worlds. They give you an interest rate which actually keeps you in debt longer so they can make more money in the end, and they make you pay for it. That is the best of both worlds. Pay me extra for the better so-called interest rate, and I'll make it harder for you to pay the loan off early. Best of both worlds for the bank. This is why we don't teach this in grade school. It's not taught in grade school. Wow. So look at this, $5,000 applied to this loan takes you down to line 9. On the other loan, $5,079 knocks off a whole year. So here is, are you guys ready? If you're a real estate agent, if you're thinking about buying either personal property or investment property, if you are a loan provider, if you're MLO, here's where we started the show today. Marry the house, but date the rate. What happens when if the interest rates go down? We have been told to refinance to get out of this loan and get the better rate. Oh my goodness, Miss Patricia has been here the whole time. Miss Patricia, thank you so much. She's new to Clubhouse, folks. And listen, and we've got a couple of people who decided to follow her. I followed her. Give Miss Patrice a couple of more follows, everybody. Look, she's the one with the party hat. Okay? All right? So listen, I got Tiana McNeil saying in the chat, this is powerful. My question, is there any way to get around not paying the payment again the next month, even if we deploy more principal previously? No, there's no way to get around it. By contract, you have to make a payment every month. Okay? By contract, you have to make a payment every month. But if you can, what we're talking about, let me put this on the screen. Okay? We've got 30 years, all right? We got 30 years on this mortgage. So that's 360 payments, okay? But if we can get it down to 7 years, okay? 7 times 12, that's 84 payments. So what we're showing people is you're going to have a payment every single month. You've got to. It's by contract. But instead of having 360 payments, how about cutting that down to 84 payments? How about that? Okay? How about cutting it down to 84 payments? I love this. All right, so let me get over here. I gotta bring some noise into this thing. All right? From wake up everybody, 360 payments down to 84 on average. Between 7 and 9 years. So let's say it takes you 9 years to pay off all of your debt. Okay? 9 years to pay off all your debt, including the mortgage. Okay? That would be 9 times 12. That's 108. So from 360 down to 108 or 84 or whatever it is. Listen, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about skipping payments. We're talking about skipping lines on your amortization schedule. Because once they put it in the amortization schedule, it's designed for one thing and one thing only, for the bank to make a ton of money. But if you skip lines, you pay less money in interest, but more of your money goes to principal. Because we're going to learn how to make every one of your dollars count. Back to this. All right, so Miss Dominica, the Bonnet Queen says, awesome topic this morning. Good morning, fam. Okay, Federal Reserve is expected to hike interest rates for the 6th time this year. So, folks, here's what's happening. interest rates will probably go to 10% or more. By knowing this information, can you even make sense of a 10% rate? Listen, loan officers, replay this thing over and over again. Give me a call. In fact, if you are a loan officer, if you are a loan officer, if you are any type of mortgage professional or real estate professional, we're going to be holding a master class on this so we could dig down deep. If you want to be in on that master class, okay, then go to my Instagram, click on my bio, go to my Instagram and put in your name, your email address, your phone number, and your zip code. Your name, your email address, your phone number, and your zip code. Just put in masterclass. Masterclass? Psh, it's simple. Masterclass. Then your name, your email address, your phone number, and your zip code, and we'll add you to the list, and then we'll send you out a notification when we're having that masterclass to get deep into this thing so that you, as a real estate professional, can help your clients navigate these waters of the higher interest rates so they won't sit on the sidelines and lose opportunities to get into a house. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. So here's what we're talking about. Let's get back into this thing. So let's just say, all right, now we're going to talk about we're at the 7% rate. And now the experts on TV and everywhere else is saying, when it's time, when the interest rates go down, you need to refinance. And the rule of thumb is if you can save 2 points, refinance. That's what the rule of thumb is. Okay, here's what's going on. I need you to show you what happens if you, on this loan, if you don't know how this works, in 5 years, you'll pay this loan down by $29,341.84. You will pay $170,000 in interest to get it. That's over $200,000 paid out in the first 5 years. Folks, this is how the bank makes their money. It's called rent on your money or interest. They're renting you the money. And what just happens in the 5 years, you borrowed. So any portion of this money you borrowed, you paid back. So you can break it up into segments. So in 5 years, by borrowing $29,341.84, the bank wants to charge you $170,248.76 to borrow $30,000. $170,000 interest to borrow $30,000. Folks, is that fair? Is that fair? So if you choose how to give them the $30,000, we can show you a different way to give them $30,000. It doesn't have to be all at one time. We can show you how your current budget, you can give them $30,000 for a lot less interest. What if there was a way for you to give them the 30 grand and only pay them about 50 grand in interest instead of the $170,000 that they wanted? It is possible, and you could do it without changing your budget. So, but let's say they don't, most people don't understand this. So they're getting this loan, and then 5 years later, guess what? Interest rates drop by 2 points. Now they can refinance into the 5% loan. Here's what's going on. Now we owe $470,658.16. That's what we owe, correct? Is everybody following me now? Okay, this is what we're paid down to. If you're new to the room and you want to see this, we're live on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. We're live right there, right now. You can see what I have on the screen. Okay, so here's what we got, folks. 5 years in, I've just refinanced. Okay, so we owe $470,000. Okay, and so we're going to highlight that, and we're going to copy it. Okay? And I'm going to bring up, we're going to duplicate this tab. Okay? We don't owe $500,000 anymore. This is what we owe. Okay? And we're going to paste that. This is what we owe. And remember, the program, this particular website does not like commas, so you got to take the comma out. We got 5% now, okay? And we've got 30 years, all right? Most people who refinance actually refinance back to 30 years. Did you know that? So if you're in 5 years and you refinance and you take it back to 30 years, you've just signed up for a 35-year mortgage. Do you realize that? Every time you refinance every 5 to 7 years, you keep adding 5 to 7 years on to your total. Oh, never thought about that? Start thinking about it. Okay, so now here's what we're doing. We're going back to 30 years, but we're at now our payment is $2,526.59. Okay? Okay, so we started out at 5 years. Okay, I think did I do the right one? Let me pull this over here. Okay, $479.16. 407. Yeah, that's it. Got it. All right. So this is where we are, folks. We're in 5 years. We paid the loan down by $29. I think everybody who refinances ought to look at how much interest they've paid before they refinance. Already paid $170,000 in interest. Now we're going to refinance. All right. And now we are here. Do you see we went from $400 principal payments, and in 60 months, our principal payment is $577.63. Our principal payment is $577.63. We are going to lower the interest rate on the same principal balance. We're going to get a lower payment. Look at the principal payment now. We're at $565 with our principal payment. We were already at we're at $577. Okay, $577 60 months. We start this here. We start out at 470,000 at 360 payments. We're at $565 in principal payment. Okay? We're almost at the same place. Look at this. We're at 577 going to principal, all right? And we just changed it by a few dollars. Look here. So Don, what if we keep the same number of payments? Most people are saying now, okay? Most people are saying now that don't refinance to 30 years. If you're already at 300 payments, keep it at 300 payments. So let's change this. Let's change it to 300 payments. So we take the same amount. We're going to keep the same number of payments. 300. All right. And then take a look at this. Now, if you've noticed, folks, if you are a mortgage professional, you've noticed we didn't charge them any closing costs on this loan. I haven't done that yet. Watch this. So we're going to keep the same 300 payments. Our payment is $27.51. Okay? And we go back to our look at our principal payment now. $790. $790. And our principal payment was only $577. We're better off with this loan. If we keep it at 300 payments, we're better off keeping the 7% loan. Nobody points this out to us. Wait a minute, I'm not done yet. So let's go back and do something else. Let's add in the average $10,000 in closing costs to this loan. I want to show you what happens when you do that. If you want to see this, go to we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Search P.I.L.L Method and watch these. All right. Miss Jones says, I was just about to ask if there's penalties for interest cancellation. Actually, no, not on mortgages, not in the U.S. But I do have clients in Canada and in Bermuda where there are a ton of prepayment penalties for these loans. So what do people in Canada and in Bermuda do when they have prepayment penalties on their mortgages? I just instruct them, change the word penalty to cost. It's a prepayment cost to prepay the loan. So what do I ask? I ask, if I prepay, what is it going to cost me? And what makes it worth the cost? How much interest I save. And what don't people do when they have a prepayment penalty? They don't do the math to figure out what the cost would be versus how much interest they save. Can I give you an example of how we did this for a client in Canada? So we showed a client that they were about our program asked them to prepay a certain amount of money. Because of that, they were going to save $100,000 in interest. Here's the thing. Most people are unaware of what happens when they prepay. What is the benefit of prepayment? It is not about bringing down the principal. It's about how much interest you save when you prepay. That's what is important. So this client found out that they're going to save $100,000 for prepaying a certain amount of money towards their mortgage. Their mortgage company has a calculator on the website which helps them to calculate what the prepayment penalty is to save $100,000. Okay. Now, they didn't know how much interest they saved until we told them. All they knew is how much it would bring down the principal. And if they're looking at not knowing what the benefit is, then all they're looking at is the penalty. The penalty was $1,200. If all I'm looking at is the penalty, I'm going to avoid the penalty. But if I know what the benefit is, saving $100,000, if I can save $100,000 in interest, is it worth it to me to pay the $1,200 penalty? Come on, folks. This is all about not doing the math. It's math, not magic. Once you start doing the math, it all begins to make sense. Okay. Cassandra wants to know, is it a penalty to have to make an additional payment before I can prepay but monthly? No, we don't have to worry about this. We don't have to worry about any of this. Our program is going to direct you to how much money to pay, what month to pay it in, what day of the month to pay it on, so that you can increase the amount of interest you save per dollar. We want to maximize the amount of interest you can save for every dollar you apply to principal. And it matters what day you do it. Here's what the bank wants you to believe. Anything you do to get out of debt is as good as any other thing you can do to get out of debt. Anything you do, I'm making some notes here. Anything you do is as good as any other thing you can do. So any amount paid at any time on any day in any month, if you choose another amount on a different month and a different day, it's still going to save you a bunch. But listen, folks, whenever you do anything, you want to save the maximum amount of money per dollar that you have. So be careful when you're paying, because you can actually pay too much at the wrong time and cut your interest costs that you're saving down. Remember that. So hit me up on the when you put in your information to get your savings report. Ask me that question, and I'll show you that by paying too much at the wrong time can actually end up hurting you. Too much at the wrong time can hurt you. Okay? So watch this. So you don't want to violate the law of diminished return. So now we're going to take this loan and add in $10,000. $10,000 to refi this thing. So now we go from 470,000 to 480,000. We have to take out the payment. We get a brand new payment. So we had a 7% loan. We paid it down to $470,000. Okay. We refinanced it to 5% because that's what we've been instructed to do. This is what the prevailing logic, the prevailing wisdom, the prevailing financial education is teaching us. If we can bring this down by 2%, off 2 points, we should refinance, pay about $10,000 to get that refinance, and then keep the same number of payments. So we knocked off 60 payments already. So keep the same number of payments right at 300. Okay. And then when we recalculate this payment, we have a payment of $2809.88. Watch this. So we're now at 5%. Look at our payment, our principal payment now. It balloons to $810. So if you want to get rid of the next line on this payment, you prepay $807 to get rid of the interest. If you stayed right where you were, you could prepay $577 and get rid of the interest. So which is easier? Stay where you are and attack this loan with the smaller principal payments, or follow what the bank is saying, is that they're saying is marry the house and date the rate. Marry the house and date the rate. No, no, no. Folks, if you've learned something from this, put a number 9 in the chat. Put a number 9 in the chat if you learned something from this today. If you are a real estate agent, if you are an MLO, do you have some information so that you can help people take advantage of these higher interest rates and they can get the lower principal payments and attack this loan aggressively? Let me see what I have in the chat here. So, D. Jones, I hear some LO say date the rate is a horrible statement. Your thoughts? Well, I think we just went over this, because if you date the rate, then that means when the interest rates go down, you're assuming you're in a better financial position. What happens when you pay 5 and you listen? Not only are you in a worse position here, folks, okay? Not only are you in a worse position, but remember, you rolled $10,000 into this loan. Okay? You have to pay back $10,000 to get back down to the $470,000 you were when you refinanced it. Look how this breaks down in your mortgage. In the first year, you don't even pay back the $10,000. You pay back $9,910.73 in 12 months. Guess how much interest you pay on that $9,900? $23,807.83. It takes 13 months to pay back the $10,000 to get to $10,000, to pay back $10,000, and it costs you $25,000 in interest to do that. Folks, if you borrow $10,000 and you pay back $10,000 interest on that $10,000, isn't that 100% interest? Next question. If you borrow $10,000 and you pay back $20,000 in interest on the $10,000 loan, isn't that 200% 100% interest. Folks, these are people with perfect credit, and they're paying 100 and 200% interest on these loans because they're rolling in the principal payment on these loans. I'm sorry, they're rolling in the closing costs on the loan. I roll in $10,000 worth of closing costs on this loan. It's going to cost me about $25,000 to pay it off if I don't know any better. How is that fair? I'm thinking, you're making me think I'm putting myself in a better financial position by refinancing and rolling in the $10,000. You're making me believe I'm in a better financial position where the refinance is actually costing me over $35,000 in principal and interest in just 13 months to get back to where I was before I refinanced. Oh my goodness. Folks, have you learned something today? Listen, does it make sense now? Does it make sense now, that statement, without doing the math? Does it make sense to marry the house but date the rate? So when the interest rates drop, you automatically put yourself in a better financial position? That's not true. It's not automatic at all. There's a lot more going into this thing than getting a lower interest rate. Now I have $800 principal payments, and I got away from a $500 principal payment. Do you know the main reason for refinancing? Is because in the first 7 years on these loans, the amount of principal that you pay you pay more principal every month and less interest every month. That transfer from principal to interest starts to pick up after 7 years. Every month after that, you start paying more money towards principal and more money and less money to interest. If I can get you to refinance, now I get that balance back to where I'm going to get more principal money. You're going to pay me less. You're going to pay me more interest in that first 7 years on these loans. So the percentage that I receive is going to be more. It doesn't matter if the amount that I'm going to receive is less. I want the percentage of the money I receive to be more. And my barber taught me this lesson a long time ago. And I've got about 5 minutes left in this thing today. So listen, folks, I want to thank you for being here, and I'm going to give you a lesson from my barber. Okay? I'm glad that Miss Crystal is here. A lesson from my barber. He said he was the first guy I knew that made every part of his barber shop. Okay? It's Tommy's Barber Shop in Battle Creek, Michigan. Every part of the barber shop made money. Okay? Every part. I mean, he got pop machines in there. He's the first guy I knew that had his own payphone. This was years ago. Had his own payphone in there. This was pre cell phones and iPhones and all that kind of stuff. This is years ago. And he says, Don, what do you think makes the most money in this barbershop? I mean, he had a pinball machine that I absolutely loved. He had his own pop machine. He had everything in there. Okay. So when people come in, they're just not getting a haircut. He's making money hand over fist on everything he's doing in that barbershop. I said, I don't know. He said, well, guess. Okay. I said, the pop machine. Okay. So I knew that he bought the pop at, some people say soda. Excuse me if I'm offending your ears. But the pop machine, that's what we call it in Michigan. So pop machine, he bought the pop at, and it was a can, and he bought it at one price and he sold it at another. So I said, the pop machine. He said, nope, it's the gumball machine. I said, the gumball machine? So they only cost $0.25. Yeah. He said, but each gumball only cost me 3 cents. The return on investment is huge. I paid 3 cents. I get back 25 cents. For every 3 cents I spend, I get 22 cents back. Doggone it! That's hot. So when you think about it this way, folks, the bank is making money on the percentages by having you refinance, even though the payment is less. They keep you in the loan longer so that the percentage of the payment you make is larger that comes to them for a lot longer time. Oh my goodness, there is so much to learn. I hope you guys have put your information in to get to the masterclass. All right. If you want to know more about this masterclass, we're going to even open it up to the entire audience online and in Clubhouse. If you want to know more about this, if you want to know more about what we're talking about today, date the rate. Okay. Marry the house, but date the rate. Refinance automatically when the rate goes down. No, you want to do the math to see if it puts you in a better financial position, not a worse one. So if you want to know more about this, then go to my Instagram, click on my bio, go down, find my Instagram and message me. Okay. Send me a DM and you put in there masterclass. Then put in your name, your email address, your phone number, and your zip code. Please put that information in if you want to get in on this masterclass. We're going to have this within the next 2 weeks. It's going to be on Zoom and it's going to be in the evening. All right. So it's going to be on Zoom. It's going to be in the evening. So let's get this done so that you can learn more about this and help your clients understand what's happening with these interest rates. So the last thing I want to put in here, folks, I'm going to show you the last thing. All right. The very last thing. We have a $500,000 mortgage at 7%. I'm going to show you what would happen to interest. I'm going to duplicate this tab, and this is going to be amazing. The experts are believing it's going to go to 10%. If you can afford this payment, you tell me if you're going to be better off that you can do something with this 10% loan if you can afford the payment. The payment is $4,387.86. Before we go away, I want to show you what happens when you raise the interest rate to 10%. Look at these principal payments. $220. We just cut the principal payment in half. Remember what I said? Control the principal payment and you control the loan. Help your clients to see this. Please sign up for the masterclass. We'll see you later. Listen, and don't forget, if you want to know more about how all of this works for you, you want to know when you could be out of debt in 7 to 9 years, get your savings and earnings report. Click on the button up above, ICE 10K, ICE 10K. .com, ICE10K.com, and click on the button that says get a savings and earnings report. I'll see you back here on Friday, folks. I'll see you back here on Friday. We're going to hear from Dr. Eric Thomas, our last thing, and then I'll come back to say goodbye to everybody on Clubhouse. Okay? So see you in a couple minutes. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, and our team created the most powerful money management, wealth building, debt elimination system ever created. At our recent seminar in Nashville, Tennessee, the keynote speech was delivered by the #1 motivational speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. E.T., as he's also known, mentioned he paid off his mortgage in 4 years using the P.I.L.L Method. I invite you to watch and listen.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
Did you hear that? No mortgage, no stress. If you would like to become debt and mortgage free within an average of 7 to 9 years by cutting your interest costs by up to 75%, go to pillmethod.com and request a savings and earnings report today.